To me, it was one of the best locomotives ever built. I mean, I worked on it back in the 80s and 90s, and firing-wise, it just, Roanoke knew how to build the engine. I mean, it was one of the finest 484s I think ever built. I've been on a few of them, but to me, this is the Cadillac. The volunteers here are wonderful. We have a kind of a core group that are here almost every weekend. So they've gotten used to everything. They kind of know what's going on and what they have to do. You know, we kind of guide them, show them, try and teach them some skills. I mean, like I say, I'm getting close to 60 now, and you try and pass this stuff on to younger people.
My name is John OTEY. I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, and my real life job, I'm in education. I'm an athletic director at a high school. Got into railroading, especially with 611, being from Roanoke. She was built in Roanoke in 1950. She was rebuilt in Roanoke in 1982, or came back to Roanoke in 1982. I was born in 78, so from age 5 on, 83 on, I've chased her, I've ridden her, I've worked with the NRHS out of Roanoke, working trains, working in a souvenir car. And when I had heard that we had a chance to work on 611, bring her back to steam again, I jumped at it. With my background being in education, I don't have the welding background, I don't have the boiler making background, but I told them a broom fits nicely in my hands, and my wife's never been on a steam engine. She doesn't know what it's about. I've got cousins that haven't seen live steam before. I know what it's about. I've been on it, I've seen it, I've felt it, and I want more people, I want the next generation to see that and understand what it's all about.
My name is Steve Morgan. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Started with the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum about 2 years ago, and was real fortunate to meet several of the guys that are up here. I was invited to come up and weld the back flue sheet in for Mr. Gary Benson. She's just a great engine. When the guys in Chattanooga told me that we could probably put engine 630 into the 611, I thought, no way. And I'm really honored to work on a piece of history. I'm 61 and she was right around the 50s, so we had some birthdays that are pretty close together. So, well, she was such a beast of her time. She was a modern marvel of her time because of the horsepower and because of the 300 PSI rating that the boiler has. So she was kind of in a class by herself in the industry at that time. That's what made her so special, and that's the reason she's being saved now.
I'm DWIGHT FLINCHUM. I reside in Roanoke, so I travel down here from Roanoke. In the real world, I'm a process control engineer. I typically do combined cycle power plant controls. But I grew up in the greater Roanoke area, so I've watched the trains my whole life, and like most young men, boys, fascinated by trains. Really loved watching the 611 and the 1218 run back in the 80s through the early 90s, and was very saddened when they were put to bed. This is a big piece of Roanoke history. It's a big part of the Roanoke Valley where I'm from, and people want this to run again. I want it to run again, and I just take a lot of pride to be able to come down here and work on it.
My name is Will Sadler. I live here in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm in the grocery industry by trade with a local grocery chain. What got me involved with this project was the magnitude of the rebuild and what I'm able to learn and what I'm going to be able to learn, and I'm still learning. And the fortunate fact that in the past when this engine ran, I rode behind it as a rider and was able to volunteer on it in the last year and a half or so that the engine ran up until '94. Everybody has a story about it. Whether it's somebody like Preston Clater who's involved with the project, that his father is the one who initially pulled it out of the park as CEO of the railroad, to myself with my story, to I've got some friends that are now involved on the project, and there's a whole nother generation out there now that's heard of this engine, but it's been so long that they've never seen it run. They've only heard about it or seen it in videos. So in terms of steam locomotives and popularity, you know, it's without a doubt one of the most popular in the country, and the anticipation to see this engine run again is phenomenal. The engine itself is a great engine. In terms of steam technology, it was one of the most modern. It has all the modern features, the bells and the whistles, no pun intended. It's truly a Cadillac, a Lexus, a Mercedes of steam.